lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Hello folks, and welcome once again to the American Sim Racing Camping World Truck Series. This is round number 10 and we're coming to you from Iowa Speedway in Newton, Iowa, and you are live on the Global Sim Racing channel. I'm Richard Losper, and with me in the booth is Ayrton Ellis. Directing all the action for us tonight is Kevin Brown, using camera sets provided by the inimitable Doug Beard. Ayrton, Iowa track, one that you're pretty familiar with from your days in the late model.
Yeah, definitely a very fun track. It's quite a short track as well, just under a mile long and very wide. It's also a D shape, so the front stretch is very curved and not exactly straight at all. And it also has lots of grip, but not so much banking either. So we'll see quite a lot of action around here for these drivers, making a lot of aggressive moves due to the good grip. It has only one straightaway, which is the backstretch, and then really long sweeping turns, much like Richmond actually. And the pit speed's 40 miles per hour, and we're going to be doing 100 laps around here. And these guys, they're driving a fixed setup on these trucks. Back to you.
Right, and just having a look at the session right now, practice is still happening, but we pretty much finished with the practice, and then they will start their qualifying session. They have 10 minutes and it's open qualifying, so it's normally quite a fun time as you see guys strive to get the very best time they can with other trucks on the track as well. And just judging from the number of accidents we see in practice, we will hope that the qualifying is a lot better. But Ayrton, let's talk about the championship for a bit. I note that the same 10 drivers from last week are still in the top 10. In fact, the top 4 of Gary Whitson, Jordan Harnish, L. Bryce Whitson Jr. and Alex Bates have not changed at all. They haven't moved up or down. Tim Johnston in 5th place has moved up 1 place, so he's making a charge. Jason Kristen has moved up 1 place. Now, I do want to say, Ayrton, we haven't spoken a lot about Jason Kristen in our broadcasts, but there he is in the 6th position in the championship. So we'll be sure tonight to have a bit of a look at Jason and see how he goes, because I can't remember. Can you remember from last week that we actually had the cameras on him?
Yeah, I think he was more of dark horse in that race, just running in the background. But it seemed like he managed to rack up a good top 10 finish, and that definitely set him up into sixth place into the standings. So definitely doing good for him.
Yeah. Anyway, going on with the championship, in 7th place, lost 2 positions, is Nick Cohan. We'll remember last week he had a very bad finish in the race. Jim Foose moves up 1 place. He had a good finish last week. David Gibson has moved down 1 place. And then Alan Young, who is another gentleman we have not shown that much on the broadcast. We'll be keeping an eye out for him. Also, Ayrton, Derek Cash and Ty Hester, which are known front runners. I want to check whether they actually in the session today, because Ty Hester is there. I'm getting information, but I don't see Derek Cash at this point. These 2 guys still haven't broken into the top 10, even though whenever they are in a race, they're always near the top.
Yeah, Derek Cash, he actually has the most wins in this series with 3 wins, more than anyone else. And he's definitely got the speed, but just hasn't been able to make all those races. Similar story with Ty Hester, though. I think his consistency is not as good as Derek Cash. He hasn't been racking up wins, but he has managed to get into the top 10 a few times, and he's set in 8th place for practice, was in the top 3, I think, in practice last race. So he's definitely got that speed, just needs to work on that consistency.
Yeah, and now just looking at the entry list here, we're seeing, let me see, entries, there were few more than what we're seeing that did practice laps. 22 trucks did some practice laps. I note that Michael Koenig, who was very slow in the practice, he has moved up quite a bit and is kind of just out of the top 10 in the championship, so he's doing well. Keith Medeiros is somebody we should talk about. Every time he's on track, he's also normally up near the top, but we haven't seen him win a race that I can remember, or in fact get into the top 10. So a bunch of the guys to watch tonight, certainly, because they're fast, and they just have to have that bit of luck to get them a win, and move their point scores up to get themselves into the top 10.
Yeah, Keith Medeiros is an interesting story. I've only watched one race, which was last race at Rockingham, but from what I saw, he was very fast, running with the front runners for a good amount of the race, and then got just a little bit unlucky, involved in a few accidents that kind of ruined his race. So he's top of the standings in practice at the moment, so I'm interested to see how he'll be able to do in qualifying and the race as well.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out on a number of these guys. So top 10 guys specifically, Alex Bates, who in the practice was down in, let's see, Alex Bates, he was down in 19th place in the practice. Strangely, the Whitson cousins normally up near the top. In fact, I only see one of them here today. Is the other one there?
Now he's there. He's in 11th place. Chris Whitson, not the best practice times up there. There's quite a few guys very close in time so far in practice, but looks like we're starting qualifying now, so let's see what they can do.
Right, now, just a little talk on the speed of these trucks around here. You mentioned when we were off air that in the days when you were racing, they were doing about 22 seconds around here. Now I see the top practice time was at 23.548, so trucks have got a bit slower.
Yeah, and it also probably has to do with the fact that these guys, they are using a fixed setup, so obviously a fixed setup's not going to be like an open setup that you can suit to your driving style and such. So when I was driving, at least the series that I was racing that did these kind of tracks, everyone was allowed open setup. They could just set up their car how they want them, but these guys, they're all driving fixed setup, and obviously that affects different drivers in different ways. Some guys might like the setup, others might not. But we have heard from the league organizer that the setup is actually drivable for this race, so these guys might enjoy it a bit more than previous races.
Yeah, that's true. The other thing I do recall is that you will remember racing the trucks at Charlotte, where if you did a 29, sort of a low 29, you were very fast, even on an open setup. But I did note that these guys with a fixed setup at Charlotte, the Charlotte Oval, they were doing low 29s on that fixed setup. So there is speed, and speed in the setup, you just have to extract it.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see. This is going to be a pretty long race, and obviously Iowa, it's a short track. So, but I know it's a track that you can race pretty hard on. So I don't want to see that many cautions, but what I saw from Rockingham, at least, these guys they can get pretty aggressive, and also some of them really struggle on the corners.
Yeah, and this track is, as we mentioned, it's a lot like Richmond. And if I recall, the Richmond race was not one of their finest. So this may turn out to be a race with lots of cautions. But surely, I mean, these drivers know each other so well now. As we see another one of the guys who's kind of started off very well, for your information, Aaron Easler. He's up topping the qualifying board at the moment. So I'm pretty sure he's had a few bad races. I'm pretty sure he'll be looking for a good one tonight.
Yeah, and like you mentioned with the cautions, something that I did notice from Rockingham last week was that a lot of the cautions, they weren't caused with battling in the front of the pack, and most of them were actually just single truck spins, just people losing a little bit of grip in the corners, sliding up and then hitting the wall, or having contact with another driver. So it seems like driver error has a lot to do with cautions for these guys, so maybe these guys gotta worry about being a little more careful. But then again, Rockingham was a pretty difficult track. We already talked about how the grip there was not that great, but this track has a lot of grip, so these guys, I think they're going to be able to drive better, especially on the long runs.
Yeah, well, let's hope we get a nice race. Just watching the leaderboard at the moment, Ty Hester has posted the best qualifying time so far, quite a few ways to go in the qualifying still at this point in time, better than 7 minutes to go. So lots of time for guys to put in fast laps. But I have to say that I am looking forward to the race. I like Iowa. Iowa is a track, a short track. The late models and the slower cars like the perhaps even the street stocks would fare very well on a track like this. The trucks have a little more power, so they will struggle a little bit as we see some guys going off track and going down into the infield during qualifying. So some of them are struggling already.
Yeah, and these guys are, it's open qualifying for these guys. They've got 10 minutes to set laps, and they've got cars all around them, or trucks rather. And that can be good or bad for these guys. Obviously, you've got the draft factor, so you can get the draft from the car in front and be able to get a nice fast lap. But you've also got the traffic factor, where you can get stuck behind someone that's slower than you. So these guys, they kind of have to be nice to the people around them, definitely in qualifying, because that will just make friends for the race later on.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier that this track has a lot of grip. So is there any particular line that you think these guys will prefer on this track? Perhaps the high line will work better.
I mean, I think unlike Rockingham, Highline is a lot better on this track. Definitely the guy that's starting in second place on the outside line will have a better opportunity on the restarts and start. But I think there's a lot of variety in driver preference when it comes to the line. Some guys might want to take a nice early entry into the corners and just drive in really hard. Others might want to try to take a late entry and just try to drive out of the corner as well to get that speed on the straight. So it has to do a lot with driver preference. Obviously, it's going to come to play into the race because those guys that like to drive in, they're going to have a lot more passing opportunities that way.
Yeah, I did notice from my own time on the track that when you come out of the back stretch there, which is basically, straight from the after turns 1 really and 2, well, sorry, between turns 2 and 3 that's straightaway. So when you come out of 3, it's wide open, or a lot more open than it is going into 2. So I think if we are going to see accidents, it's going to be likely to happen more on the entry to turn 2, I think.
Yeah, and also the entry to the backstretch, just coming out of turns 1 and 2. That wall, some guys can drive it very hard out of there and just hit that wall. And obviously that can cause collisions between multiple cars. There's a lot of side-by-side action as well. So there could be quite a few instances. And also that inside wall very close to the track. So anyone who spins to the inside, they are probably going to have a busted front or rear bumper.
Yeah, now I just want to have a look at the pit entry here because I want to see, pit entry looks pretty tight to me. It is 40 miles an hour, so nice, reasonable speed into the pits, but it looks pretty tight getting into the pits.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a big part of this pit strategy. We saw it last race. There's a few guys who had different pit strategy. I think it was Jean Peters was trying to run a different strategy from the rest in the front group. And I don't think it turned it out too great for him. He ended up starting off in like 5th place or so on the final restart. Just wasn't able to get back up into that lead position where I think he led the most laps, about 55 laps. I think he finished around 2nd or 3rd place. So he had a good race for him, but his strategy will come into play for these guys who's racing on this pretty long pit straight for such a short track as well.
Yeah. Well, let's see. So they will have, let's see, maybe 2 pit stops. It's always difficult to say because these races tend to have a few cautions, and guys normally duck into to top up with fuel and tires for that matter. On the short tracks, tires will be a definite factor. So, but at least 2 pit stops required for a 100-lap race, do you think?
Yeah, I think the truck can go about 50 laps, 50 or 60 laps in the fuel tank. So these guys, they only are required 1 stop to make it to the end, but I think you're right about the tires. It's a short track. It can actually eat up tires, especially if you drive the truck really hard. So these guys are probably going to be wanting to make a lot of tire changes for every caution.
Yeah, well, we're getting close now to the start of the race. About 2 minutes or so to go before the pace car comes out, and it's the excitement's obviously building. At the moment, Keith Medeiros is topping the leaderboard. There's still guys trying very, very hard to post a decent lap. Nick Cohen currently sitting in second place, and Ricky Harden, Ethan. Now we saw him last week as well. He was at times up near the front, but I don't think he had a really good finish last week. But your standard guys up near the front, Gary Whitson, Ty Hester, John Peters is up there in the top 10 in the qualifying. So the cream rising to the top once again.
Yeah, it's actually interesting to see that a lot of the guys in the front of this qualifying session are actually, not many of them are actually in the top 10 in the standings. There's Nick Cohan, Gary Whitson, and Tim Johnston, Jason Kristen. Those guys are in the top 10, but a lot of the other guys, Keith Medeiros, Ricky Harden, Tommy Ryan, Ty Hester, they're not even in the top 10 of the championship, just showing how the consistency while finishing in the mid pack is kind of better for these guys that only come to a few races or aren't able to consistently finish where their speed shows that they should be.
Yeah, and there are a couple of other guys as well. Alan Young, we've mentioned, he is in the top 10. He's very much a mid-pack runner, but he must be extremely consistent, and really we should give ourselves a slap over the wrist in not knowing more about drivers like these. Jim Foos is another one. These guys are ultra consistent, and that's why they are in the top 10. And then you get guys that are kind of, dare I say, a flash in the pan. They're up at the front of the race at times, and then they have an accident. So consistency not necessarily part of their package. And these guys, whilst they are exciting to watch, they don't necessarily stick around at the end of the race.
Yeah, well, it looks like qualifying has just finished up, so do you want to go through the grid?
Well, yes, they're on the grid at the moment, so let us go through the grid. In the first place, Keith Medeiros did finish at the top of the leaderboard. On the outside of him, on the first row, is Nick Cohan. Ricky Harden and Gary Whitson make up the second row. Tommy Ryan, I think we'll say, and Ty Hester are on the third row. And then on the fourth row, Aaron Easler and John Peters. The fifth row is Tim Johnston and Jason Kristen. Eton?
And in the sixth row, we've got Alan Young. Outside of him, Cody Gibson. The seventh row has Dan Winter and Benny Ellison. Then we've got the eighth row, Steve Guhala and Alex Bates. In the ninth row is Jim Foos and Tim Knott. Then in the 10th row, we've got David Gibson and Michael Koenig. In the 11th row, we've got Carson Obb, and non-qualifiers consist of Skip Witt, Bryce Whitson, and Aaron Cleanhands.
Well, I'm not seeing Skip Witt on the track, but I do see Bryce Whitson and Aaron Cleanhands, so they definitely are in the race, even though they haven't posted a qualifying time. Going to be a pretty lonely race well, not lonely, but a pretty stiff ask of Bryce Whitson, who's one of the front runners normally, to get up to the front. But 100 laps, anything could happen. The pace car has not moved off yet. Keith Medeiros will be taking charge or control of this race on the start. The pace car now moves off and takes them around one very shortish lap. So in about 20 seconds or 25 seconds, this race will start. Ethan, who do you fancy having? I know you've only broadcast or commented on one race, but who do you fancy from what you know of these guys?
I think Keith Medeiros started on pole. I think he has a good chance for this race. He looks really strong.
Yeah, well, I tell you, I'm going to be watching the guys that we spoke about. But I do want to keep an eye out as well for John Peters, because he had such a good race most of the race last time. As we see now, the pace car, they're coming around the final turn. We will get a start very, very soon. We see Keith Medeiros weaving his car a little bit to try and get some heat into the tires, no doubt. I don't know whether that works, Ed.
Yeah, I mean, people say it doesn't work on iRacing. I don't think it works that much. I think we're going to be doing another lap around since it's a short track, 2-lap warm-up for these guys. So then they're going to be going green next time on.
Okay, well, just back on this idea of weaving the car to heat up the tires. In real life, obviously, that will work because the friction that you garner from weaving will put some heat into the tires, but I don't think iRacing implements a feature like that. I see guys doing it on the road courses. I see guys particularly doing it on oval courses as well, but I don't know whether that works or not. Well, very shortly we'll get a start. The pace car has just moved off. Keith Medeiros in charge of the race on his outside. Nick Cohen already showing that he wants to have part of the action, but Keith Medeiros charges on the line now as the green flag flies. Behind him in the low line is Ricky Harden, who now takes up the second position. Nick Cohen will start from the outside. He is now in third place. Gary Whitson has moved into fourth place. Well, in fact, remains in fourth place from the start. So a nice clean start so far. Tommy Ryan and Aaron Isla, fifth and sixth at this point in time. What have you seen there, Edson?
Well, very clean start. I haven't seen much contact with any driver. We have a little bit of pretty wide action. Looks like that's Ty Hester went a little wide going to turn 1 and 2 and slid up a little bit. He got passed by, I believe that is John Peters. So John Peters also passed on Tommy Ryan in that same corner. So gained up 2 positions in 1 lap.
Yeah, I'll be watching John Peters as we said early on. And now John Peters does come under attack from Ty Hester, but holds him off quite nicely. So Keith Medeiros still leading this race. In fact, Eden, he's taken a little break on the field right now.
Yeah, it looks like yellow flag just came out, so I'm going to check to see what happened.
Well, there we go. So 3 laps in, we have our first caution in this race. Everyone slowing down behind the lead car of Keith Medeiros, who now picks up the pace car coming out. And we will have a restart in about 3 or 4 laps time. What have you noted on the replay there?
Yeah, it looks like just Tim Knott. He came running in about 20th position. He came a little loose turn 2, just spun it around and overcorrected, hit the wall. A lot of damage to his car. I'm not sure if he manages to drive back to the pits, but he's got a lot of damage there.
Yeah, we're seeing the replay as you and with Tim Knott it was. Yes, he's certainly looking good at this stage. And coming around in the 141, he loses control of the car. The 141 gets touched by another car, slams into the wall. And that's going to cost him a little bit of repairs in the pits.
Yeah, as we also already see quite a few cars actually coming into the pits. We've got Tim Knott, Carson Obb, Aaron Klinghems, Kokinik, Jim Foos, and that's really it. None of the front runners. Most of those guys are actually guys closer to the rear of the pack, so not many of the guys in the front wanting to go in this early.
Yeah, most of them staying out. I note that Bryce Whitson has moved up quite a number of spots, remembering, of course, he did not post a qualifying time and started in 23rd position. He's already moved up to 17th position, so he will be one to watch on this track. He's normally one of the front runners. But Keith Medeiros, I was about to say before the caution came out, Ayrton, that Keith Medeiros had put a little brake on the field already. So he won't be too happy that a caution has come out because he now loses that lead.
Yeah, he had a very good start. Actually, I think Nick Cohen was kind of left sleeping there as Ricky Harden managed to get on the inside of him. And then Nick Cohen managed to get the position back. So I think those guys duking it out gave Keith Medeiros a little bit more of a lead. But hopefully Nick Cohen can get a better start for this next restart. I hate to see the leader always just jump so far ahead on the restarts. I'd like to see it when the second place guy can normally keep up. But obviously the leader always has control of the restarts. It's very difficult to be on the outside line.
Yeah, absolutely. I hate restarting from the outside line because if you don't get it right, you can get freight train and you can lose a number of positions on the first lap after a restart as everyone on the inside streams past you. So being on the outside, I don't know why they do double file restarts. I would prefer single file. At least you know you can duck into the inside straight away and maintain your position. But that's the way it's done in real life, and that's the way it's done in iRacing.
I think it's mostly because a lot of tracks, especially like super speedways and tracks like Michigan, Charlotte, they allow a lot of opportunity on the outside line. So guys who start on the outside, even sometimes the leader who does have an opportunity to start on the outside or inside, it's his choice, may want to start on the outside line because some tracks just provide better opportunity on the outside line, such as Charlotte, where you can go full throttle on the outside line when you're accelerating from a restart.
Yeah, you're right. Charlotte is particularly one of those tracks. On the super speedways as well, as you mentioned, you can get a run, but you've got to watch the leader pretty closely because the leader, of course, picks the time when he wants to go. He does not have to wait for the green flag. He can go the moment the pace car goes off because he will not reach the start finish normally before the green flag flies. So it's very important to be in the lead on a restart in any oval race, Ethan.
Yeah, and in some cases, being in third place is definitely better than being in second place, especially near the end of the race. As we're looking to the restarting grid is actually very similar to the starting grid. We do have Nick Cohan on that outside line next to Keith Medeiros and Ricky Harden in third, but Aaron Easler managed to get by Gary Whitson during that stint. So, oh, actually, that's my mistake. He just went in front on the line. So Gary Whitson in fourth. So starting five are the exact same as the 5 for this restart.
Well, the lights are out on the pace car. They are coming around turn number 4 right now. We will have a restart very, very soon. I'm watching from Ricky Harden's car in third place, and it's going to be interesting to see as the pace car now goes off. Keith Medeiros holds them back this time, and then away he goes. A slowy start from Ricky Cohen once again on the outside, and you see Nick Medeiros going really wide. A very strange move, but all in all, a nice clean start once again. Eton?
Yeah, and Aaron Easler making a move to the inside. He just passed Ricky Harden, who made a mistake on the exit of turn 2. He had a little bit of a bobble, and now he's going very wide as well, almost skimming that wall. He's going to lose a little bit of time there. But Aaron Easler making a rocket start. He started in 5th place, and now he's already in 3rd.
Yeah, and he's got the preferred line on the inside there, as we see. You know, this track could accommodate 3 wide, really. It's and there's next to Aaron Easler, we do have Ricky Harden fighting it out with him, not giving up so easily. But now Gary Whitson comes up on these two as well. Gary touches the wall, not good for Gary, but he manages to hold it together as the 151 truck now of John Peters makes a move on Gary Whitson. So action aplenty in the opening laps of this restart.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are pushing really hard. To mention Gary Whitson touching the wall a bit, Ricky Harden just skimming the wall as well. So a lot of these guys really getting close to that wall. It's very easy to do on this track. These guys want that exit on the corners, as we already see Aaron Easler making a move on Nick Cohan for 2nd position. He's on a charge for this race and almost got the position. Just slowed down. Looks like caution actually just came out.
Yeah, we have another caution. We'll need to check what happened there while we were watching the leaders. Some action happened in the rear of the field. Let's see if we can pick up what happened there. Yeah, I'm seeing, we're getting a replay. I am seeing Aaron Kleinhans with a damaged truck there, so I have a feeling he was involved in that one, Eton.
Aaron Kleinharns and Jim Foos, they had a little bit of contact on the exit of turn 4, and both of them spun around to the infield. I think a little bit of minor damage to possibly suspension, but that's about it.
Yeah, Aaron Kleinhans have damage on the rear of his truck. I'm not sure about the front. I'll have a look at that. Jim Foos from the rear at least looks okay on this restart. So second caution, pretty much what we kind of expected. Few cautions in the beginning of the race, then they settle down. As we see now, Ed, most of the trucks heading into the pits.
Yeah, there are a few guys who did not. There's Ty Hester, Aaron Easler, Nick Cohan, and Keith Madero. So actually, three of our front runners, our top three before that restart, actually decided not to pit. So this looks like there's going to be multiple pit strategies going on here, or maybe just these guys, they just want fresh tires, and probably going to be an advantage, especially for these guys at the front. These guys who pitted, including Rick Harden and Gary Whitson, they're going to have those fresh tires to make really good starts on these restarts. So hopefully that will help them get up into the lead.
Yeah, as you say, the top runners at the moment: Keith Medeiros, Nick Cohan, Aaron Isla, who made a really good charge there. Aaron is a good operator in the truck, and we've seen him lead races in the past. I just hope that he can have a good race, because mid-race he seems to have some problems with traffic, or spinning his car, so his truck, sorry. So let's hope he has a good race today. Ty Hester, also one of those guys who is always up near the front but has problems. And then of course we have the stalwarts, dare I say, the Whitson cousins. I note Ayrton Michael Koenig up there now. Michael Koenig, we kind of mention him because we know him quite well from racing in other series, but he's once again got a reasonable place in the beginning of this race.
Yeah, he's managed to get up there, and also Bryce Whitson. Those guys, see, this is the kind of strategy that these guys really have to look for when everyone else pits. Not going into the pits to get up into those front positions is definitely a way to catch back up to the field. Like, those guys both started in the bottom 5 positions, and they're now up in the top 6 positions. So doing a really good job, and hopefully they can defend those positions from the guys behind them that now have fresh tires. But it's going to be a difficult task, especially around Iowa.
Yeah, well, Bryce Whitson certainly has moved up from 23rd. 23rd he started, and now he's sitting in 5th place, but he hasn't done the pit stop. Mind you, Ayrton, 16 laps in, that is about, what did we say, 23 seconds, so that's 16 laps. That's not much time on those tires.
Yeah, I think these guys are just probably going to play it conservative. Obviously, positions in this point of the race do not matter that much. They're not even a 5th way through the race, so these guys just running tires, filling up on fuel in case they have a long stint. That is going to be beneficial for them in the long run.
All right, so we've got a little time before the pace car lights go out, so let's have a look at some of the guys now. We mentioned that we wanna check on Jason Kristen. At this point in time, after his pit stop, he is very close to the rear of the field. Jason Kristen, who is 6th in the championship, he's got a lot of work to do to get up to the front and have a good finish. One of the other guys we also mentioned was Alex Bates, and we see Alex Bates around about the mid-pack. So these two guys are the guys we are watching today.
And a little interesting on Jason Kristen's part, he started in 10th place and very far back, so I'm interested to see what happened. I might be able to check back on that.
All right, well, the lights are out on the pace car. Keith Medeiros, who has led all the laps in this race so far, and we are on lap number 17 of 100, will once again lead them away in this restart, which is the 3rd restart. The pace car ducks off, Keith Medeiros holds them back and then shoots away, as we expect him to do, followed by Nick Cohan, and behind them the 2nd row, side by side, that's Aaron Isla and Ty Hester. Ty Hester gives up the position now, or battling for the 3rd place, as he goes very, very close to the wall. And Aaron Isla on the inside there, trying to take the position away from Nick Cohan. Nick Cohan prefers that upper line there by the looks of things, but we'll get back to this in a second. What have you seen, Ayrton?
Well, I'm just looking at John Peters now. He just managed to get around, almost finished getting around Bryce Whitson on that inside line for the 5th place position. So he's got the fresh tires. He's looking to try to gain some positions, but I'm just looking ahead of him now because Ty Hester's now making a move on Nick Cohan.
Oh, and touch there. Nick Cohen and Ty Hester just had the smallest touch, nothing to worry about. And we see a truck coming from the outside line there. Bryce Whitson charging and getting by John Peters. John Peters, no answer at this point as he comes up on the low line. But now Ty Hester is in front of him, struggling a little bit on the low line. They're trying to keep it low as the other guys have a better run off the corner on the outside. So, this could be trouble as we see them checking up there, but they all get through safely. And meanwhile, Keith Medeiros making a break.
Yeah, these guys, racing on the outside line is actually very easy on Iowa because these guys can get very good runs on the exit corners. That's why we're seeing those guys defending the positions so easily. As we also see a little bit of contact between Nick Cohan and Bryce Whitson. Nick Cohan hits the wall pretty hard and has some rear damage as well. He's causing quite a traffic jam behind him as well as they're going 3 wide. So not a good result for Nick Cohan at the moment.
Yes, we mentioned that was pretty unfortunate for Nick when he hit that wall pretty hard because he now has significant damage on the rear of his truck on the right-hand side as he hits the wall again.
Contact, Tommy Ryan, and I think it's Ty Hester had contact on the exit of turn 4. They spin on the front stretch. I don't think they hit anyone else, and minor contact, both of them are going to lose a ton of positions.
And we're getting a replay of that action. And we see, whoa, truck spilling around. The 16 truck gets pretty loose and really causes the problems there for trucks behind him. He seems to be okay, but behind him there was another truck that was involved. So a bit nasty at the end there, and we have another caution. And once again, Keith Medeiros still in control of this race. Must be getting pretty tired of these restarts, Eton. But Aaron Isler now moved up into 2nd place.
Yeah, he started in 7th place, so 2nd place definitely a good run for him. He's looking really racy at the moment, so I'm interested to see if he'll be able to make a move on Keith Medeiros. No one has managed to challenge him yet, and it looks like he's actually heading into the pit, so he's going to sacrifice that lead to give to someone else, but that leaves Bryce Whitson into the lead, and also one of the few drivers in the grid that has not actually pitted. So interesting decision for him, but gets a lead of laps, and I think that gives bonus points, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. There are bonus points available for leading laps. We see poor Nick Cohan, who's really got a lot of damage on that truck. I've got the camera on him now. I want to see what happens to him. Because he was having a good run, started in 2nd place on the outside in all of the restarts, and now he faces probably some significant time in the pits getting that damage repaired, as we see the others leaving the pits and Nick Cohan staying put, getting the damage repaired. But as you said, Ayrton, Bryce Whitson from almost last place to leading some laps, that has got to be a very, very good charge.
Yeah, but he does have a couple fast drivers behind him. John Peters, Gary Whitson. These guys have nice and fresh tires, and obviously you've got the rest of the pack who's also pitted. So I think Bryce Whitson has about the oldest tires in the whole pack, so I wouldn't be surprised if he gets freight trained at the beginning of this restart.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We are on lap 26, so the race has now completed a quarter of the distance required in the time frame that is allotted to them, which is 1 hour and 15 minutes. They should be able to get through comfortably, but Eton, we have seen in previous races where they get pretty close to that time limit, and there was one race, I forget where now, where they could not complete the 100 laps in the time allowed.
Yeah, hopefully that does not happen. Some long green flag stints would be great, especially on a track like Iowa, which brings such good racing. One guy that I'm keeping an eye on right here is John Peters. He led the most laps. I rocked him last race with 55 laps led. He looked really strong in that race and just came out a little unlucky in the last restart. So I'm kind of almost rooting for him to get into the lead for this race.
Well, you know, it's as if you read my mind. I also am having a good look at John Peters. In all the races that I've seen him race in, he has always been very strong, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him leading some laps here. As we see, the lights on the pace car the lights are out, so we will be getting a start. But this time the guys at the front look a little different. We've got Bryce Whitson on the inside, and on his outside we have John Peters. The second row is none other than Gary Whitson, and Alan Young. Ayrton has moved up quite a bit there, so getting ready for that restart. And the 151 truck kind of shows his colors, moving forward. So he's looking, the pace car ducks off. Whitson, this is Bryce Whitson, takes the green flag in first place. John Peters on the outside didn't get a good start at all there, and maybe that was by design. He falls down into second place, or maintains that second place. Now he goes to the inside straight away and attacks Bryce Whitson for the first position. Will he get away with it? Bryce Whitson very good on the outside there, does not allow him to get away with that. And
Ooh, we have a big
another
crash
yellow
in
flag.
the middle of the pack. I'll check to see what happened.
Wow, that was a very short, folks, just about 2 or 3 laps there. In fact, 2 laps, and we uncompleted 2 laps, and we have another caution. So this track is proving to be a handful for these guys, as we are on a caution. Ayrton, what did you see?
Contact between Dan Winter and Steve Puhala in the around 8th place position. That caused a huge checkup and a lot of cars involved, just people ricocheting off to each other. So a lot of drivers are gonna lose positions and gonna have to do some repairs this caution.
Okay, we are quarter of the way into the race. We have yet another caution. Might be an opportunity for us to take a very short break. And sorry, we have a replay. Let's just go through that replay first as we see. Whoa, yes, 3 trucks involved. First up in that accident there, and a car spinning, all of 1 car spinning right into the pits, and 3 cars in the pits there. So a nasty one, Ayrton.
Yeah, a lot of people involved in that. I'm interested to see how people will be able to recover from that.
All right. Well, I was going to say we will take a short and be back with you momentarily whilst we get these guys sort themselves out with their pit stops, etc. Welcome back, folks, to the American Sim Racing Camping World Truck Series. We've had another caution, but the lights are out on the pace car right now, and we will have a restart very, very soon. Bryce Whitson in the lead of this race as we speak. John Peters in second place. That was the same as the previous restart. Gary Whitson and Alan Young in third and fourth place, Ayrton. So that's pretty much the same as the last restart. Let's hope we get a longer stint than this as the pace car now pulls off the track. An immediate start from Bryce Whitson this time, and gets a bit of a jump on John Peters there, but John Peters comes back at him on the outside, and in fact breezes past him, but Bryce Whitson recovers, and the two of them go in side by side as they race hard next to each other. This is very, very good racing. Let's hope that things are going well for both of these as we see them still side by side. Yellow is out once again.
Yeah, let me just check who it was. I think I saw Cody Gibson. He went across the front stretch. It looks like he actually got caught in Ricky Harden and Tom Knott, and that collected a few cars.
Yeah, we're getting that on the replay right now, and some very, very bad racing here. Yeah, he just crossed straight over the track, lost control of the truck, and caused an accident with a whole bunch of cars taken out in that process. Not a great race so far, Ayrton.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are just losing that rear end and not causing contact with other drivers. I think these guys got to be a little more careful on that throttle and the exit of these corners, because it's just the same that we've been seeing at Rockingham. Just driving too hard out of those corners and just spinning the truck around.
Yeah, it's these short courses are tough for these very powerful trucks. Lots of horsepower in those trucks, but you can control it if you're just careful. And quite obviously, a lot of these guys are a little bit out of control there and causing some fairly major accidents.
But besides that, we do have a new leader now. John Peters managed to pass Bryce Whitson on the outside as that caution came out, and he was the nose ahead and managed to get that position. So, new leader for this race. I think that's the third one so far.
That is correct. Keith Medeiros was our first leader. Where is Keith Medeiros, by the way? Oh, he's 3 laps down, right in 21st place. So he was obviously involved in one of those wrecks and must have had a lot of damage to his truck, because he's showing as being 3 laps down. In fact, no, Ayrton, Keith Medeiros is out of this race.
Yeah, he was involved in the big wreck before these couple restarts before he went to break the one before that. He was involved in that with a lot of cars, and he managed to go into pits, get some repairs, and come back out. And I'm just looking at his recent driving, and he just disappeared on track. So he might have lost connection, or maybe just wanted to quit. So either way, Keith Medeiros looking to be out of the race.
Yeah, it says that, I'm looking at the chat, it says that Keith Medeiros has lost connection because his throughput fell to an unacceptable level, which is iRacing telling you that your internet connection is not good, and they're really taking you out of the race. So he had no choice there, Ayrton.
Yeah, bad news for Keith Medeiros. He was looking very strong. He led the most laps of the race. Started on pole. We saw him last race. He was looking really strong. Just bad luck here again. So just a problem for these guys, these connection issues. That's just the downside of online racing.
Yeah, that's correct. Another person who has fallen out of this race is Alex Bates. Now, I hope, Ayrton, we didn't put the commentator's curse on Alex Bates, because he is out of this race now. He has disconnected manually, which means that he in fact has decided not to continue the race. And that's a shame, because Alex Bates is in 4th place in the championship. So he is going to lose a couple of positions. He's minus 44 from the leader. The 3rd place guy, which is Bryce Whitson, on minus 57 points in the championship. If he gets a good finish here, he will jump sorry, I am wrong. It's Tim Johnson I want to be talking about. Tim Johnston is a minus 65. He is only 6 points behind Alex. If Tim Johnson gets a good finish, then he will no doubt jump over Alex Bates in the championship. Let's find out where Tim Johnston is at the moment. He's in 5th place, so already he's got a good position and likely to take over that 4th spot in the championship. However, Ayrton, the lights are out once again on the end of this lap. We will see another restart with John Peters in control of the field. On his outside, we have Bryce Whitson in the 0-0 truck. Bryce Whitson's been strong so far, but John Peters equally has been very strong. We did see these two guys battling fiercely for that first position before that accident at the rear of the field. Ayrton, keep your eyes on the back of this pack. We could have some more troubles as we see the pace car leaving the track. The start is on. John Peters pushes his truck to the floor immediately, goes to the outside, takes a high line coming back down to the inside. Behind him we have Gary Whitson and we have a caution.
Yeah, I'm just checking back on it. It looks like Ty Hester actually got spun around in turns 1 and 2 by, I think that was can't check. Yeah, that was Benny Ellison. So just a little bit of contact, spun around, had contact with a driver behind him. So just another little bit of poor racing just on these restarts. This guy's got to be more careful.
Yes, indeed. I don't think the organizers will fault us for calling it as it is. There has been some pretty bad racing going on here tonight, and we're getting the replay now. We see that indeed it was I forget the name now, Ty Hester, it was, that had the problem and caused another significant. Ty Hester's car pretty well damaged now, so he is not going to feature in this race, I wouldn't think. Although, actually, Ed, have a look at Ty Hester's car. The rear of the car is about 2 feet narrower than the front.
Yeah, these guys do, I think, have one fast repair, though. With the amount of caution we've had already, I wouldn't be surprised if some guys have already used those up. So a lot of damage so early is not the best thing for these guys.
Well, you know, I mean, let's call it the way it is. Near the front of the field, in the top 6 or so, you normally have some pretty good racing. The accidents tend to happen in the mid-pack or at the rear of the field, and we've seen enough of these races now to know that is the case. And really, that is poor driving. There's no question about it. And I'm pretty sure that the front runners must be quite annoyed by the inability for them to get some good green flag laps in.
Yeah, and just to confirm that there's actually no repairs for these drivers. They once your car
yes, that's correct. All right, director is saying we need to double check that fact. We cover quite a few oval races and broadcasts. It's no excuse, but we sometimes forget what the details are, and we apologize for that. We will check on that situation for you. But right now, John Peters is in control of this race, showing on screen, but he's not actually behind the pace car. That's Carson Albay, but no doubt he is many laps, he's nearly a lap down, so he will get waved by the pace car. The lights are still on the pace car, so effectively John Peters in the charge of this race, Eton.
Yep, and he looks like a comfort zone for him since last race. He's definitely shown very strong in that leading position, and he does have Gary Whitson, our championship leader, right next to him in that second place position. Also, third place championship runner Bryce Whitson. So we've got a lot of these fast guys up at the front.
Yes, we do, and behind them, Alan Young, 10th in the championship. Starting to put together those good consistent laps and finds himself in 4th position. One of the other guys that we also want to watch, as we said, was Jason Kristen. So let's check in on Jason Kristen. I see that he is in 12th place. So once again, a pretty handy, middle of the pack sort of consistent racing. Let's see if he can put it together and get further up and perhaps increase his championship standings.
And normally a goal for drivers try to finish in front of where they started. So Jason Kristen started in 10th position, and hopefully he can try to get ahead of that. But obviously it's always difficult because you've got everyone going for that goal. So some of these guys behind, just like Bryce Whitson, managed to get very far up in the field and past all these guys in the mid-pack.
Yeah, and I've just gone through a bunch of the trucks to have a look and see, which trucks are damaged. I note that Nick Cohen, who had a fair bit of damage on his truck is not fully repaired, but at least the rear end is straight again, or almost straight. The lights are off. I am told we are about to get another restart. We have John Peters in control of the field on his outside. Gary Whitson, Bryce Whitson just behind him with some damage to his truck. The pace car goes off. John Peters holds them back. Bryce Whitson very close to getting black flag there as he almost passed the leader. Now John Peters shoots away. Very smart driving from John Peters there, really fooling the field there, Ethan.
Yeah, and I'm actually looking at Aaron Easler. He managed to gain a lot of positions, also got on the inside 3 wide going into turns 3 and 4, looking very strong to gain some positions in the early parts of this restart. They're still 3 wide as they're going across the front stretch. Gary Whitson running that outside line, and Bryce Whitson stuck in that middle. They managed to start going double file again as Gary Whitson managed to just get ahead of these guys, but Aaron Easler still fighting for that 3rd position.
Yeah, and Alan Young just touched the wall there. He is currently 5th place, but he's going to lose it. He's on the outside there, battling with the 98 truck, or the 30. No, it is the 98 truck of Ricky Harden. And in front of them, we do have Aaron Easler having a really good run. The Whitson cousins and John Peters streaking away from this field. So a pretty good restart this time around. Let's not put the commentator's curse on anybody. Tim Johnston in the number 38 truck, also having a good run, coming up on the outside of the 98 truck of Ricky Harden. So Ricky Harden starting to lose positions here, but some really good racing for a few laps there, Ethan.
Yeah, they've started to streak single file again. I'm just looking at John Peters. Gary Whitson's managed to close the gap on him. In fact, the rest of this field, Bryce Whitson, Aaron Easler, they've all started to close the gap on John Peters. So it looks like John Peters is going to have to worry about these guys in a second.
Yeah, and Tim Johnston has been battling a couple of laps now with Ricky Harden. Ricky Harden's got some damage on the rear of his truck on the right-hand side, so he can't get the aero to work properly for him. Otherwise, he may have challenged Tim for what would be the 6th place. But we are getting some good green flag racing happening now. John Peters still leading. Gary Whitson now has got the inside. John Peters goes really wide, nearly touches the wall. Has a bobble there, but manages to keep it together. Gary Whitson directly behind him, and Bryce Whitson behind his cousin now. Aaron Easler putting in some good laps as well. Alan Young is the next best, and he is a little way off these guys, but that's not to say he can't catch up to that lead pack, Ethan.
And we do have a challenge for the 3rd place position. Aaron Easler trying to go on that inside of Bryce Whitson. So also serve Gary Whitson trying to make a move for the lead, but they're still side by side with that 3rd place position. And Bryce Whitson just skimming that wall, and that's going to hurt his speed, and he knocks into Aaron Easler. Aaron Easler goes spinning off on the side of the track. Don't think the caution was called, but he's just lost a bunch of positions. Actually, yellow is out. He lost a bunch of positions there, got on the radio. I don't think he was very happy about that.
No, that's Aaron Easler. Luckily, I don't think he got any significant damage from that, but that was extremely unfortunate. We had Bryce Whitson, we'll see the replay of that now. He touches the wall, comes down and makes contact with Aaron Easler, forces Aaron Easler off track. Aaron Isler does gather it up and comes back again with very little damage, if any, to that truck. So a reasonable outcome, but if I'm Aaron Isler, I wouldn't be all that happy. On the other hand, Bryce Whitson did sustain some damage from that contact there, Eton. Well, we are getting information that John Peters is out of this race, so we need to go back, Eton, and have a look and see what happened. I don't think he was involved in a contact or an accident. We'll have to go back a couple of laps and have a look.
I'm looking at right as soon as the caution came out, he drove into the pits, pulled up, and exited his car. So maybe he had some other things to attend to besides racing. So unfortunate for our leader leaving the race.
Yeah, I'm checking the chat and I do not see any reason other than he has manually disconnected. So this is something he has done. I think you're probably right. Something has happened at his home. Remember, this is simulated racing. It is not live. You're sitting in front of a computer. Your wife or girlfriend or son or daughter may have come up and said, "Daddy, do this," or "Love, do that." And that's what happened to John Peters. We don't know. We will find out in the future sometime, but he's out of the race.
Meanwhile, we've got a few guys. Actually, a lot of our leaders went into the pits, but a few guys did not. Nick Cohan, Aaron Isler, and Ty Hester, 3 of our really fast guys, did not go into the pits, so they're going to start in those first 3 positions on the restart.
And surprisingly, Bryce Whitson, with a lot of damage on his truck, did not go in to the pits either. Now we're getting information that he did go into the pits. We see the 13 truck there of Gary Whitson in 3rd place. We see the very damaged truck of Ty Hester in 3rd place actually. So this is I'm not sure why he hasn't gone into the pits. He must feel that his car is very aerodynamically designed now and that he can go fast at it.
Yeah, also to note that Bryce Whitson, that the pit that he just did was his first pit stop of the race. So he went over half of the race distance on just one stop and managed to keep pace with the rest of the drivers. So yeah, I'm interested to see if he's going to just continue that strategy, just run on the same set of tires for the second half of the race. And I mean, he was able to keep pace with those guys for that nice long green flag stint. So I think he could be a guy to watch out for this.
Well, you're right. We are on lap 57 out of 100, which means that more than half of the race has completed. The lights are still on the pace car, so we have at least one more lap to go. He could still duck in, but at this point in time, he didn't get all his damage repaired. He must feel, this is Bryce Whitson we are talking about, he must feel that he's got a truck that can survive even with the damage that he has.
Actually, I think you mean Ty Hester, right?
No, I'm talking about Bryce Whitson. Bryce Whitson has got rear damage on his truck, quite significant rear damage actually.
Right, but he did pit this caution with Gary Whitson, so he must have gotten a little bit of it fixed.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So he didn't get complete repairs, so he spent very little time in the pits. He's probably just taken his fuel and tires and come straight back out again. Not taken the recommended repairs totally anyway. But that is as it may be. We have a new leader once again. It is Nick Cohan. Aaron Isler, despite having that being involved in that accident, is currently on the outside of Nick Cohan in 2nd place. Ty Hester with a very damaged truck in 3rd place. And Gary Whitson on the outside of the 2nd row with a truck, Eton, that looks pretty whole.
Yeah, some of these guys have managed to keep a hold of their truck fairly well. And you're right, Gary Whitson has probably had one of the cleanest races in this race. So I'm going to get back to you for the start then.
Yes, and the lights are out. We are coming around, getting ready for a restart. The heart always pumps pretty hard on the restart. The pace car goes off track. The 33 truck of Aaron Easler goes forward and then has to drop back with danger passing the leader. And Nick Cohan now takes them away on this restart. Aaron Easler slots into second position. Ty Hester with that damaged truck in third place is going pretty well. And Gary Whitson with a truck that looks pretty good in fourth place. Behind them, Alan Young again with a truck that looks good. And then Bryce Whitson with a damaged truck. Ethan?
Yeah, it looks a lot cleaner for this restart. Some guys doing some double file racing, but no one making any really ambitious moves. But we do have Aaron Easler trying to make a move for the lead on Nick Cohan.
Yeah, Aaron Easler on the east side of the 21 truck touches the wall there, Nick Cohan, and he will have to give up that position. Ty Hester coming up on the inside as well on Nick Cohan. Amazing how this guy is running with that truck that's so damaged. But maybe it's just cosmetic damage. He's certainly fast. He's coming up on the back of these two guys in front of him, being Aaron Easler and Nick Cohan. And then Gary Whitson sitting back there looking at the action in front of him, figuring out how he can make a move. But so far, reasonably clean racing. Good to see.
So Aaron Easler manages to complete the pass. I think that makes it the 5th leader of the race. So 5 different leaders of the race, and I mean, I think he deserves to be up there at the moment. He's been really racing all race and has been making a lot of really good aggressive moves. So hopefully he can try to defend that position, but he's got Nick Cohan on the inside as Aaron Easler goes very wide.
And Ethan, Ricky Harden has been putting in some really good laps. He's been charging. Just look at him go right now as he challenges for the 3rd place on Ty Hester, and he may well get away with that. Ty Hester on the outside, the 98 truck of Ricky Harden. Two damaged trucks battling it out for the 3rd position. Nick Cohan sitting on the inside now. Good run from him. Ty Hester comes back at Ricky Harden. Can't make anything happen there, and Ricky Harden gets that 3rd place.
Really good run from Ricky Harden, but we do have Nick Cohan still in front of him. We've seen from, at least from last race, Nick Cohan, very hard racer, not willing to give up position, very fast racer as well. So we see Ricky Harden actually trying that outside line around here, looking to actually gain a lot of speed as he gains a lot of acceleration out the corner and gonna go right by Nick Cohan. And that damage that's on Ricky Harden's car is really not slowing him down because he's flying.
Absolutely, he's definitely gets the Hard Charger award in this, and he's running down Aaron Easler as we speak, and coming up on the rear of Aaron Easler. He must have a truck that's working pretty good from him from that remodeled aerodynamics, because it's certainly going fast. He now follows Aaron Easler into the turn and comes out, goes to the inside. He's going to battle for the 1st position now. Goes to the inside. Aaron Easler wisely backs it off a little bit. The wall was quite close to him now. Battles hard to retain the 1st position. Can't do it. New leader Ricky Harden will lead some laps in this race, Edson.
Yeah, and that makes our 6th leader of the race. We have Aaron Easler trying to make another move on the inside, trying to make a comeback, fighting for that position. And they're still going by side, but Ricky Harden showing a lot of that pace on the outside line as he actually used it to catch up to some of these guys. He was just using it on his own, not even trying to make passes. And they're still going side by side. As we also have Gary Whitson making a move on Nick Cohan. He solidifies that 3rd position, but this battle for the 1st place still going on.
Yep, Gary Whitson sitting behind him. Ty Hester still in it there. Actually, he's fallen back a little bit now. We have Nick Cohan making a move on the 13 truck of Gary Whitson, but not getting away with anything right there. Gary Whitson defending on the outside line. Nick Cohan wisely backs off. The battle's still up front there, Eton, raging with Ricky Harden and Aaron Easler not giving each other an inch.
Yeah, neither wanting to give up that position, still battling very hard, and I'm really interested to see the lines of these guys. Ricky Harden is running a very high line around this track, and you see Aaron Easler going a lot lower in the corners, so we'll see how that really affects these guys. I think going lower in those corners really just affects those tires as he also loses speed. Gary Whitson makes a move on the inside going to turn 3.
And we have a new hard charger in Tommy Ryan, who comes from nowhere, the 16 truck of Tommy Ryan. He moves up on the 2nd and 3rd place positions, and looking very, very racy at this point in time. Got a really strong run in the last couple of laps, and now he's challenging for that position. There's no way through at the moment, as we see Aaron Isler and Gary Whitson side by side, lap after lap at this point in time. Now the 13 truck of Gary Whitson gets a little advantage, then loses it immediately as Aaron Isler works the outside, and we've got Tommy Ryan working the high-low line as well. So some excellent racing going on right here, Edwin.
Yeah, it's good racing, but that just is allowing Ricky Harton to gain a lead. He's almost extended his lead to about a second, and it doesn't sound like much, but it's quite long. Such a short track that's less than a mile long, like Iowa. So he's gaining that lead at a really large rate, and these guys battling like they are, he's just gonna get farther and farther away and harder to catch.
Yeah, you're not wrong with that. Saying there, these guys, the harder they battle, the more they will lose time to the leader. We are on lap 73, so the laps are winding down. We've had the best green flag run so far, as we still see Aaron Isler and Gary Whitson side by side. Gary on the low line here now, battling for the second position. Coming up behind them, Tommy Ryan and a new player as well, Tim Johnston, moving up on these guys. So it's all happening right as we speak. Tim Johnston now goes to the inside on the 30.
Tommy Ryan
truck.
got loose.
And we had a problem there. I didn't see what happened there. The 16 truck is involved, I know.
Yeah, Tommy Ryan just got loose on exit 4, spun around. They're still under green, so it looks like he's going to drop all the way down very far.
And we're going to see the replay of that. We'll keep an eye on the front here, as we still see Ricky Harden leading this race now. Gary Whitson is in second place at this point in time. So change up on the front there. So we've just seen the replay, and accident all by himself, but no harm, no foul. He's got going again, Edwin.
Yeah, no damage, but definitely a little frustrating since he was running very well in that front group. He's dropped to about 13th position, battling with David Gibson and Michael Koenig around him. So not the best race that he's having, but look at Gary Whitson. He's closed in about 3/10 in that last lap on Ricky Hart.
And it's worth having a look behind them. Tim Johnston making some really, really good, strong moves now. Has passed Aaron Isler and is now in third place. Aaron Isler coming back at him, getting on the low line there. The 38 truck of Tim Johnston staying high. He's working the outside and doing it very, very well. And he's the fast mover at the moment in this race. They're catching up on the two in front of them, being Gary Whitson. Ricky Harden still leading this race and leading it well, even with a damaged truck, Edwin.
And we've also got Jason Kristen, the man that we've been talking about. 6th place in the championship, 6th place in the race, just behind the second lead pack. So he's having a very good run after being quite far back at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, that's correct. Good run from him, as we now have come to expect. We will be watching to see what he does. Let's run a few laps with Jason Kristen. Jason Kristen is sitting behind Nick Cohan, having not challenging particularly for position, but looking at it very nice, very clean, very consistent in the way that he does his laps. As we see Aaron Isler on the outside, Nick Cohen going to the inside, followed by Jason Kristen. They're starting to catch Aaron Isler there, so these guys might move up a little bit more, but I do like the way Jason Kristen is running. Just nice, clean, consistent laps.
Yeah, and tires are becoming a factor now. This is the longest green flag stint that these guys have had. And you can see that some of these guys are struggling for tires, such as Aaron Isler. He's going very wide in these corners, driving a little bit too hard in, and it's costing him time. He's lost contact with Tim Johnson, and it is now in the clutches of Nick Cohan.
Correct, and Nick Cohen does come up on his rear bumper as we speak. Aaron Isler, sorry, has a little bit of a bobble. Nick Cohen has the same bobble. Now Nick Cohen goes to the inside, determined to get that position. This is for the third place. Ooh, close there. Nick Cohen had a bit of a bobble, and that allows Aaron Isler to maintain his third position. Very tough to keep this truck on the track here, even though we've mentioned that the grip is pretty good now. We have Nick Cohen going to the inside once again on the 33 truck of Aaron Isler. Can he get it done this time? It looks like he does. Aaron Isler backs it down, but now comes back at him. A little bit of contact from the rear there from Aaron Isler. Good hard racing, nothing wrong with that. And they're both on the low line now, fighting for what is the fourth position. Tim Johnson has a third position, looking to run down the two leaders, Ethan.
Yeah, and just Gary Whitson has managed to close the gap on Ricky Harden. He's less than 3/10 behind him right now and looking to make a move any moment now.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Jason Tin, our featured driver for this race, if you can call it that, still running some great laps. He's on the rear now of Aaron Isler, and Aaron Isler shoots away into turn 1, I believe, and then Aaron Isler backs it down, probably going into pit lane. Yes, Aaron Isler going into pit lane, probably for tires. And Jason Christen picks up another spot and is now in 5th place behind Nick Cohen. Ethan?
Yeah, I don't think Aaron Easter would just be going into pits for tires. I think he was one of our early pitters and just hasn't pit recently, so he's probably worried about fuel, hoping that another caution was going to come in these last 30 or so laps, but none have come as we have about 15 laps to go. So bad luck for Aaron Easter as he was betting for another caution, but it hasn't come yet, so he's going to have to hit and lose a lot of positions, and a pit stop here, especially on such a short track, is going to almost probably cost you a lap.
Absolutely. Now let us go back to the front. The action is fierce. Gary Whitson has caught up to Ricky Harden. Ricky Harden must obviously be having tire issues, as they all should be, but Gary Whitson seems to be handling it a little better at this point in the race. Bearing in mind, folks, there are only 12 laps left in this race as they come past the line next time. And Ricky Harden fighting to stay in position number 1. Gary Whitson, who is our championship leader, crosses the line for lap number 89, right on the bumper of Ricky Harden. Tim Johnston still in 3rd place, a little way back. Jason Christen now into 4th place. Great run from Jason Christen, even though he's a ways back. This is going to help his championship position, no doubt about it. But now let's get back to Gary Whitson. Gary Whitson coming out of turn number 2, I believe it is. And on the rear, as we see, of Ricky Harden, as we see up front, Ayrton. Gary Whitson on the inside, making the challenge now on the 98 truck. We do see a lap car up front as well. Gary Whitson charging into turn number 4. Will he get it done this time? It looks like he does, and he takes over the lead of this race. No, says Ricky Harden on the outside, challenges once again, and Gary Whitson has to fight him off on the low line once again. Ayrton, say something, I'm hoarse.
Well, Tim Johnson's managed to actually to catch up to these two guys. He's now contending for that 2nd place position behind Ricky Harden, and also taking a peek on Gary Whitson in the process as well. Trying to get that position on the inside line. Looks like he's going to get a good run out of turn 4 and managed to get the position on Ricky Harden. So now Ricky Harden losing 2 positions in 2 laps, and Tim Johnson shooting into 2nd, but Ricky Harden getting another good run out of turn 2. Going to try to fight for the position back, but the more these guys fight, the more that Gary Whitson's going to be able to get away, and with only 8 laps left, they really can't afford that.
Well, this is some great racing, as we know these guys can do. They are producing that best racing at the end of this race. On lap 93, 7 laps to go. Ricky Harden fighting hard with Tim Johnston. Tim Johnston defending, trying to maintain that 2nd position. Lap traffic, Ayrton, is going to come into play very, very soon. As we see these leaders coming up on some lap traffic, will they move out of the way nicely and allow the leaders to battle? Or will they cause a problem? One of them moves down to the apron, does the right thing, allows the leaders by, and that is good racing from whoever that was. Now, Ricky Harden, 3rd place, battling with Tim Johnson, trying to get back that 2nd place while he was in 1st place to start with. But as you said, Ayrton, Gary Whitson getting away from these guys as they battle.
Yeah, unless Tim Johnson can close the lap soon, Gary Whitson is looking to be able to run down the win.
Gary Whitson had a big almost went into pit lane on that and has lost a bit of position there. And on the next time by, you will see that he has lost a number of positions. Back to the front, Tim Johnson trying to run down Gary Whitson. I don't think he's got it at this point in time. Very few laps left. 4 laps when they cross the line on the next time by. Gary Whitson looking very, very good in the front of this race, but Tim Johnson trying as much as he can to catch him. Ricky Harden still in it in 3rd place. Jason Kristen way back in 4th place, 4 seconds back from the leader. Touches the wall now. Hold it together, Jason. You are our featured driver. You must finish this race and you must finish it well. Gary Whitson now the leader. Still Tim Johnston not making any impression on him at this point in time. Ricky Harden not making any impression on Tim Johnston. So that's the lead 3 at this point. Only a few laps to go, Eton.
Yeah, and there is an intense battle going for the 6th place position. Tommy, that was actually Aaron Easter, who's actually a lap down, was going by Bryce Wilson. So not actually a battle going on, just some Aaron Easter, who's shown a lot of promise for the race, who had to pit during green. He's a lap down in 14th position, looking to try to gain positions, even though he's not actually gaining positions.
I understand what you're saying. He wouldn't, but I do. Jason Kristen running very well in 4th place. Alan Young is something that we wanted to say. There's a caution come out. I'll just finish this talk before we go to the caution and see what happened. Alan Young, a good finish for him. This is the end of the race, by the way, because of that caution. Eton, what happened?
I'm just checking what happened.
Well, Alan Young was 10th place in the championship, has a very good finish here. That caution, by the way, folks, means that Gary Whitson will win this race. Sorry, he is on lap 100, so this, in fact, is the final lap for him. The pace car being in front of him won't matter when they cross the line. He will have won this race. Tim Johnston will come in 2nd place. Eton, did you see what happened there?
Yeah, Ty Hester lapped down. He came a little loose out of turn 2 and just slammed the inside wall on the backstretch. So towed out of his car. His car was not drivable. So gonna finish really far back, about 16th place. So not the best result for Ty Hester, especially having a good run and good qualifying position as well at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, well, you know, the race is now officially over. They have, at least the leader has crossed the line. In 1st place is Gary Whitson. 2nd place is Tim Johnston. We will go back to some of the rear of the field and watch them cross the line. Then we will go to a break and come back to you with the full standings and some driver interviews. But everyone just finishing off now. Pity they have to finish off on a caution. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back. But see you soon, folks. Don't go away. Welcome back, folks, to the American Sim Racing Camping World Truck Series, round number 10 from Iowa. And Ethan, we'll go through the standings in this race, and then we'll chat a little bit about it. I have mixed feelings about this race. I thought it was pretty good in places, but we'll talk about that soon. So in first place, Gary Whitson. Gary B. Whitson wins this one. Tim Johnston in second place. Ricky Harden in third place. Jason Kristen in fourth place. Alan Young in fifth place. L. Bryce Whitson Jr. in sixth place. Tommy Ryan in seventh. Steve Buhala, possibly his best finish, in eighth place. Tim Knott in ninth place. Michael Koenig in 10th place. Etan?
Then in 11th, we've got David Gibson. 12th, Benny Ellison. Then Jim Foos in 13th place. 14th place is Aaron Easler. In 15th place, we got Nicholas Cohan. In 16th place, Carson Aub. In 17th place, Ty Hester. In 18th place, Dan Winter. 19th place, John Peters. In 20th place, Aaron Clinton. 21st place, Cody Gibson. 22nd place, Keith Medeiros. 23rd place, Alex Bates.
And that's it for that. We will be having some interviews now, and I think that we would like to first off talk to the third place getter, which is Ricky Harden. So we'll bring Ricky into the booth and have a chat with Ricky. He had a pretty good finish there. Etan, would you like to talk to Ricky Harden?
Yeah, sure. Ricky, can you hear me okay?
Sounds good, loud and clear.
So, third place finish, you led 24 laps. In that final green flag stint, you were charging like a rocket past a ton of cars. After that restart, managed to get into the first place position. Can you tell us what happened there? You were just a rocket.
Yeah, I went with the strategy, go like hell and don't back off, and it got me to the lead, but unfortunately I burned off my right front tire doing it. I had a little bit of damage from a couple of wrecks, so that hurt me a little bit, but some of those guys were on a little bit older tires, so I took advantage of that and got the lead, but just did it a little bit too quickly.
Yeah, well, a good run, and obviously the first half of this race, full of cautions. Even though, I mean, obviously as a driver it was probably a little boring, but do you think it probably helped your strategy or hurt it, or not really, just sitting there yawning?
Well, I mean, I don't know how to answer that one. I got a black flag for speeding on pit road on the first pit stop, and so that put me to the back, and then it was just avoiding some of that carnage after that. So I guess that was the only strategy there was.
And how do you feel coming into the next race? Do you think you can hit it into you aren't in the top 10 of the championship at the moment. Do you think you can get in there for the chase, or do you think you're too far away?
I don't know. I'll have to take a look at the points. My first race was Kentucky 2 weeks ago, and I finished fourth there, and that one, it was kind of a steep learning curve. I had never done a race there. But Rockingham, I messed myself up with strategy. I feel like I should have won, and I messed myself up here. I wasn't very confident. I think if I can win a few races, it's possible, but I don't know. I have to look at the points.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a tough task since you're about 5 or 6 races behind. But very good race. You definitely got us on our toes there in those last 20 laps there with that battling with Gary and Tim. So congratulations once again on third place finish.
Thank you, buddy, and congrats to Gary and Tim. They both drove great races.
Okay, thanks for talking to us. Back to you, Richard.
Okay, and now we're going to have it with Tim Johnston. Let's bring Tim Johnson into the booth. I see him there. Tim, a mixed race, but a very nice finish for you.
Yeah, it was pretty ugly, but I just stayed back there and waited for everybody to clear out, and then I was good in the long run, so I had to wait till all the caution stopped to get going.
Well, you know, the last 40 laps or so went green, so that was a pretty good green flag run there, and you guys must have been feeling it in your tires by the time that last caution came out.
Actually, it felt pretty good on the long run. It was terribly loose on the short run. It tightened up longer you went. Felt good.
Well, Tim, so a good second place finish for you there. Is that your best finish?
No, I won Richmond, but other than that, yeah.
Okay. Well, look, second place finish, nothing to sniff at. You were going into this race in 5th place in the championship, moving up the board. This is certainly going to help your chances. Alex Bates had a bad race, so that might move you past him. So how do you feel about that? Pretty good?
Yeah, I feel good. I mean, the points are going to reset at the end for a chase, so points really don't matter too much.
Okay. Well, anyway, we thank you for giving us some excitement in this race there. That was a good hard charge towards the end there. Good second place finish. Thanks for talking to us.
No problem.
Well, Ayrton, now we'll bring in the winner, Mr. Gary B. Whitson. Go ahead.
Thanks, Richard. Gary, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, 10-4, I got you.
Well, congratulations on another win in this series. I think this is your second one, so congratulations. You had a really good run in those last 20 laps there. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, I was just, I knew I had a good truck, didn't have much damage. Some of those other guys up there around me had been in some scuffles throughout the race. Ricky got out there and got a jump on me, and I kind of had committed no more pit stops after that last one there, and was just saving my stuff, and he wasn't pulling away, so I knew eventually he was going to burn his stuff up and it'd be my time to go.
And we also noticed by the end of the race, your car seemed about the cleanest out of everyone in the field. And a lot of the cautions seemed to be caused by guys getting loose on the exit of the corner and stuff. How do you think the driving conditions were out there for these for the setup on this track?
I think the setup bad. It actually handles much better than the fixed series in iRacing with the full fuel tank, so I think it was much better than that series. It was a little loose off, but it wasn't bad. I mean, all these guys have run enough races and enough tracks to know how to correct their driving style to fix that issue.
Well, definitely a good run for you. Only 12 laps led, but that consisted mostly of the last few laps there. So very good run. Started 4th, finished 1st. Congratulations once again.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Okay, back to you, Richard.
Okay, and now we are going to bring in Young. Alan and Jason Kristen were two of our featured drivers for this race. When we say featured, it just means that we had the cameras on them watching to see what they did because of their consistency. Alan, a good run from you, a 5th place finish. We think your best place finish so far. You are 10th in the championship, but looks like you're moving up.
Yeah, thanks. We've struggled as of late, just getting involved in wrecks, but tonight I used up my stuff, smacked the wall a couple times, and it really hurt to handle in the truck, but we'll come out here with a 5th and move on.
Well, look, 5th place in this company, and on these in this series, I should say, is nothing to sniff at. I mean, it's hard work trying to stay up near or get up near the front because of all the cautions, and you have to be really careful because there's a lot of wrecking going on.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I've not had the best luck of missing the wrecks, but tonight everything fell in my hands and we made it through.
Yeah, well, Alan, look, 5th place, we congratulate you. We knew that at one time or another you would have some luck go your way, and tonight was it. Looking forward to the next round, which is at Pocono.
Yeah, that's correct, and I'm looking forward to it in a way.
I think I know what you mean. We've seen a race at Pocono. I think it might have been in another series where it was the worst race ever. So, yeah, Pocono can bite you. But look, 5th place, congratulations, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Well, folks, now we have spoken to a bunch of guys, all of them pretty happy with what's happened. Some of them didn't sound too happy, but I'm sure, Ayrton, that nobody's happy about cautions happening, but it is a part of oval racing, as you said when we were off air. How did the race overall strike you, though?
Well, yeah, as you said, a lot of cautions at the beginning, but I think at 40 lap, Greenston made up for it. There was some really good racing at the end there between the top runners, so kept us entertained for the second half of the race.
Yeah, certainly did. Gary Whitson ran away with it in the end. Even if we had not had that caution, I'm pretty sure he would have won the race. Tim Johnson chased hard, couldn't catch. Ricky Harden actually led the race, but we spoke to Ricky, and he said his right side front tire went off, and that was it for him. I liked the race as well, as you say, the last 40 laps or so that went under green. That was pretty good racing and some pretty hard and clean racing as well. So pretty good race all round, I believe. Anyway, that's about it for us right now. We are going to start our closing credits, and we start as we usually do with a big thank you to Jim Foos and Mark Myers, who organized this league. Great job you guys do on the league and organizing the races. And we love you guys the way that you do this. It's good racing and at very, very often very difficult times for you guys to organize everything, but you guys do a great job. We also want to thank the makers of the various software and hardware that help us to make this possible. iRacing.com, XSplit, Audio Technica, Behringer, and Ava Media. Thank you today to the team. Kevin, some great directing from you, good on the replays, and also Ayrton, great commentary. I hope you can stick with us in this series as well. If you would like to find out some more about us, GSRC, you will find us at our website, globalsimracingchannel.com, where if you have a look there, you will find all of our archived races and race highlights as well of some of the various series that we broadcast. We are also on Twitter at GSR Channel is our handle, and we're on Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. We always give out a big thanks to Dougie Beard for creating the camera sets that we use during the stream. Some great camera shots and well used by our director Kevin Brown. Special thank you also to Eric Ekholm, who provides us with the music that we use. You'll find his music not only here on GSRC, but also in some TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes and Spotify as well. If you like the music that you've heard here, get on to Eric. He's on Twitter at Eric Ekholm. Upcoming races, folks. The next race in this series is in 3 weeks' time. There's a 2-week break on the 16th and 23rd. The next race is on the 30th of July, and it is a daylight race at Pocono Raceway. Coming weekend, we have 2 races for you. The first one is on Friday, That will be the Super Speedway series, and we are at Talladega this time round. On Saturday, we have a race, one of our road race series, the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series, which will be run at Watkins Glen. That is an endurance series, 2-hour race. Watch out for that one. Then in some of the upcoming other series races, on Wednesday the 16th of July, we do have Champion Motorsports, and they will be running the GT3 cars at Zolder. Not my favorite track, but it should be a good race. On Sunday the 20th of July, we have a new series that we are going to be broadcasting. May actually be a one-off. It'll be at Phillip Island, and it's put on by the USCSR. Look out for that one. On Sunday, the 20th of July, the Northwest Major Series goes to Indianapolis, where they'll be running the Gen 6 cars at Indianapolis Oval. That's it, folks. Thank you for watching. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we will see you on track.